Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC. Good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I really do appreciate you joining us this morning. We have a lot to discuss. Governor Hochul's proposed budget. We'll be talking about that. We'll hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. He released a statement on the proposed budget. We'll talk about that as well. And later on in the program, I'm very excited about this. Steuben County Legislative Chair just recently became chair. You heard us talk about it with Sheriff Allard and with Joe Sempolinski yesterday. We'll be joined by Kelly Fitzpatrick this morning, so don't miss that. As always, you can reach out to me. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. I would love to hear from you. We already have, look at this, already a couple of virtual waves. Thank you. If you're new to the program, you can send me a wave. We'll add it on the bottom of the screen, or if you happen to be walking by, you can wave. Or you can comment on what we're going to discuss. First of all, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, before we get into the nitty-gritty of it, I thought this was a good way to put it. Governor Hochul's only idea to solve New York's budget problem is to spend more. I don't think that comes as a surprise to many of us who have been following Albany for a while, but it's a $232.7 billion New York State budget. That's for the upcoming 2025 fiscal year. Hochul said some good stuff about New York, not spending money we don't have, says Nicole Galinas. But she offers no solutions, either for the state's newest spending problem, shelter for migrants, nor for the old rising costs of Medicaid and education. The governor said, quote, "We can't spend like there's no tomorrow because tomorrow always comes." So she proposed a spending hike of just 0.5%, and it means the upcoming budget is balanced. But this is getting you've got the taxpayer exodus, which is always interesting. We're going to talk about all of this in depth, but just I wanted to give you that quick maybe overview, if you will. And you can find that full piece, by the way, at the New York Post if you would like. Did you watch her presentation? What do you think of what you've heard so far? Oh, we're also going to talk about, I think the New York Post put it that it's kind of deja vu. The coverage of Trump and his supporters has returned to the mindset of 2016. There is a lot of negativity. I think there's a lot in the elite and a lot in the mainstream media who are now getting very nervous because of Trump's decisive win in Iowa with 51% of the vote. You know, they were banking on Haley coming in second so they can push the momentum idea. So then when she wins New Hampshire, they can start to push it even further, and maybe she gets South Carolina or comes close. You see the writing on the wall of what they were trying to do with all this. It did not happen. So now there is a real fear to those in the media that it could be 2016 all over again. And also they're concerned with the poll numbers, though they don't come out and say it completely, with the current president, Biden's poll numbers, the dismal numbers. So we're going to talk about that as well on the program. I do want to take our first break because I don't want to run too far behind. I really want to get into the budget plan for New York State because that affects all of us. It affects us a lot. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you for all the waves this morning. So Governor Hochul, something that we've addressed on this program numerous times, which is her problem dealing with shoplifting. We have businesses leaving or closing their doors because they cannot afford the cost of this scourge of shoplifting. Now, she plans to put $40 million into the war against shoplifting. But what's interesting, there's a few things here that make it a little disingenuous. Number one, they are giving half of it to New York State Police. But as one shop owner said, and numerous, but one specifically, saying they would rather see it at the local level because the state police so rarely deal with kind of on-the-street crimes. Governor Hochul's, and also, I should add before I get into this, there's no boost in criminal penalties for those caught shoplifting. So, as I said, $40 million to wage a war against shoplifters, with more than half going to New York State Police. Her executive budget also provides $10 million to boost security around Jewish and other faith-based institutions amid a rise in hate crimes. The governor's retail theft fighting plan steers $25.2 million in new funding to the state police, $10 million to district attorneys, and $5 million to local law enforcement. Also, kind of interesting as a side note, $3,000 tax credit for shop owners that have to spend more than $12,000 in security a year. One advocate for merchants called Hochul's proposal only a half step, noting that it fails to boost criminal penalties to deter serial shoplifters. As we mentioned on this program before, you can get caught shoplifting. You can say while you're being detained and basically put right back on the street instantly, you can say, I'm going to go shoplift again, and probably this time a suit for my trial date, and there's nothing they can do. But anyway, more funding also should be dedicated to local cops and DAs rather than the state police. They have little to do with street crime, at least in New York City and other localities, said the leader of the National Supermarket Association and the Collective Action to Protect Our Stores, or CAP coalition. Quote, we'd like to see more money to go to local police forces. I don't see state troopers dealing with shoplifting in local communities. She's going in the wrong direction. We want tougher penalties to deter serial shoplifters. What I see here is a half step. Well, it's very similar to when she talks about reform for bail reform, right? There's no real teeth there. It's a lot of window dressing, so to speak. So not really a surprise in what we're seeing. We're not tough on crime in this state. You know, I saw this morning, and I think it was just in California, but I could see it coming, especially in New York City in the future. Places, big box stores, are now locking up things like socks and T-shirts. You know, we all joke about the razors being locked up, and you know some maybe easy to shoplift, but expensive products. But now they're doing things like socks, underwear, T-shirts. So we're going to hear from Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. I do have a couple of a couple comments that I'll read when we come back from break. We are going to hear from Kelly Fitzpatrick, the new Steuben County Legislative Chair. Really looking forward to hearing from her. Let's take another short break, and then when we come back, we'll read some of your comments. We'll see Assemblyman Palmisano's reaction to the New York State budget, and then we're going to get on to presidential politics. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Carefully. See if you can tell the difference. One is a pair of brand name $5,000 hearing aids, and one is a pair of Audien Adams priced at only $99. Take your time. What do you see? You'll notice they're both tiny. They both fit right in the ear canals, so they're almost invisible. They're both rechargeable, so no batteries. They're both wireless. They're both packed with features, and they're both high quality. However, the $5,000 hearing aid requires that you first see a doctor and then an audiologist. The pair for $99 can be ordered right over the phone. No need to see a doctor. No need to have a hearing test. Okay, the $5,000 hearing aids, they're on the left. The $99 pair of Audien Adams, they're on the right. So you couldn't tell the difference with your eyes, could you? And you probably won't tell the difference with your ears either. And isn't that the most important thing? Audien promises that they'll help you hear better, and they back up that promise with a money-back guarantee. You can try them risk-free for 45 days. If you're not completely satisfied, you can return them for a refund. But we are pretty sure you're going to be very happy.
Thank you, Audien.
So call the number on your screen right now and order your full pair of high-quality hearing devices for only $99 right over the phone right now. Call
1-800-258-1672.
Audien Adams are trusted by over 300,000 customers nationwide.
My Audiens really have been a godsend to me.
It's small, it's easy to use.
They're small, they're comfortable, they're rechargeable.
So call the number on your screen and order your full pair of affordable, comfortable, almost invisible, rechargeable Audien Adams for only $99. Call
1-800-258-1672. 1-800-258-1672.
Audion changed my life.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Frankly Speaking. Coming up after the next break, we'll hear from Steuben County Legislative Chair Kelly Fitzpatrick. That's coming up in just a moment. I did want to highlight what the Assemblyman had to say in his reaction to the budget proposal from Governor Hochul. Before that, we had kind of just touched quickly on Iowa and a little bit about presidential. I received this from a viewer. Right now, I don't see any other candidate that would be worth their words other than Trump. Let's face it, he's the best house in a bad neighborhood. Thank you very much. You can keep those comments coming in. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. Okay, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano reacts to the budget. The largest state budget ever, $233 billion, is what Governor Hochul has proposed in her executive budget presentation. This appears to be yet another budget filled with bloated spending and misplaced priorities. New York is facing immense economic challenges. We must address a budget deficit of $4.3 billion this year and more than $21 billion over the next 3 years. Families and small businesses have to make difficult budget choices every day. New York State government must do the same, and we simply cannot continue down this reckless path of unsustainable and out-of-control spending. My colleagues and the governor must remember, this is the taxpayers' money, not their money. And of course, we've talked about this in the past with people leaving in droves, 101,000 last year. With this spending, they're not cutting, as you can tell, they're not cutting back. So who's making up that difference? It's people like you and I. Now, I know they're trying to push this idea, we've got to tax the rich. What happens when they leave? Because there will be. I mean, the polls show that people, even though they want this tax the rich mentality, they know that it could ultimately hurt New York State with a mass exodus of millionaires. And they still, this is showing you what we're dealing with here in New York, they're still okay with it. But I'll continue with what the Assemblyman had to say. Unfortunately, once again, the governor is proposing to close up 5 prisons in New York State. This is an issue that we talk about a lot on the program, and that's why I want to mention it. All with only a 90-day notice to employees, families, and local communities. This is not only devastating to these impacted families and communities, but is a tremendous insult to those dedicated corrections officers and staff who work a very dangerous job to keep us safe. This, all while this administration continues its failure to address the rising and violent inmate-on-staff assaults happening inside our correctional facilities today. And we wonder why, as a side note, we wonder why there's so much difficulty getting corrections officers. But I'll continue. In addition, the administration has not just eliminated or restricted the use of important disciplinary tools to segregate the most disruptive, violent, and dangerous inmates, but they continue to refuse to provide our corrections officers with the adequate staffing, tools, and resources they need to be safe. Their answer is to jam more violent inmates into fewer facilities. This is a dangerous plan and will just lead to even more violence inside our correctional facilities, putting our brave and dedicated corrections officer and staff at greater risk. Now, he also talked about CHIPS funding. It's quite a lengthy quote. We can't get to all of it because we do have our guests coming up in just a little bit. But he said the governor's budget proposal, or priorities, the governor's budget prioritizes more than $2 billion in taxpayer funds to support migrants illegally coming to New York, and also the Hollywood elite. We've talked about the Hollywood tax credit numerous times in the past. By continuing the costly, unacceptable, and misplaced Hollywood film tax credit. This while our most, and this is an important point from the Assemblyman, this while our most vulnerable citizens, like the intellectually and developmentally disabled, and the dedicated direct support professionals who provide their vital quality of life care, continue to be a small blip on the radar screen of this administration. In addition, although the governor continues to claim she wants to address the affordability crisis in New York, she and the radical progressives in the legislature keep insisting on pushing an unaffordable and unreliable energy plan of full electrification on New Yorkers. And we talked about this with the Assemblyman just last week. Their plan will take away consumer choice by how people heat their homes, cook their food, dry their clothes, power their buildings, and the vehicles they drive. These types of costly mandates will hurt seniors, families, farmers, small businesses, and manufacturers. leading to blackouts and jeopardizing the reliability of the grid, while resulting in even more people and businesses leaving the state. Yes, it will be the straw that broke the camel's back for many people at that point, but when they have to remodify their homes, but also, and I don't think we can stress this enough, and I mentioned it when we were talking with the Assemblyman last week, that with the grid not being able to sustain this, imagine how cold it is out there today. Imagine, heaven forbid, you lose your heat. The grid goes down. Do you realize it's not hyperbole to say there will be deaths because of this decision? Look at trying to charge an electric vehicle without the power. How do you get out in these storms, etc.? And finally, just to wrap up with what the Assemblyman had to say, I will continue to advocate for common sense policies that prioritize public safety, crime victims, and law enforcement over criminals, fiscal responsibility, lower taxes and regulations to help spur job creation and economic development, an energy policy that understands and addresses the importance of affordability and reliability and not just so-called green energy, an equitable transportation infrastructure plan that invests in our local upstate roads and bridges and not just the downstate MTA, and the care of our most vulnerable New Yorkers, the intellectually and developmentally disabled, and not just migrants here illegally and the downstate elite. So thank you to Assemblyman Phil Palmisano for giving us a rundown. We will have Phil on very soon. I'm going to actually reach out today, see if we can get him back on here maybe next week to go over the budget proposal. We are going to switch over to the topic of the primary race. There's a lot of doom and gloom today, a lot of negativity against Trump supporters from the media. There's also a strain of talking heads saying it's not over. Trump could still lose. We've got a couple of those articles. And we also have just an overview of the media real quickly. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how the campaign's going for all the candidates. I was not aware of this, and that's not a knock in any way, shape, or form. I was not aware that Governor DeSantis had a town hall at CNN yesterday. He did. We'll try to get to that and give you a couple takeaways. A few things here about Nikki Haley as well. So stay with us. Coming up next, very excited about this, our new Steuben County Legislative Chair, Kelly Fitzpatrick. She's coming up next, so stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready, we're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
The Ranger XD 1500, offering unprecedented capability, brute strength, and unmatched comfort.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before. Hammered pans are ultra non-stick, and they're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie or this whole chicken dinner. Use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips right out. Plus the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop one payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
Call 1-800-608-1538 or go to buyhammered.com.
In a game of few words, Urkel, glasses, nerd. It pays to know your nerds.
If you guys didn't get nerd with me sitting up here on this show,
25 words or less.
Weeknights at 5 and 5:30 on Big Fox.
It's a season of sharing.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We filmed this yesterday, hence the snow in the background. I don't want people to get concerned that they're going out to more snow. Well, first of all, we've been talking about you so much on the program. We had Sheriff Allerton, we had Joe Sempolinski. Everybody's very excited about you being the new chair of Steuben County. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I am excited about the job myself.
Can you imagine 228 years Steuben County has been in existence, and you are the first female chair? It's historic.
People have made a lot of fuss about that.
Yeah.
My thought process on it is that, yes, it's very exciting. Yes, I will be part of Steuben County history forever.
Yeah.
But realistically, I am one of 17.
Sure.
We're all equals.
Of course.
I'd rather focus on something other than that, even though there's that little piece of my brain that is super excited that I am the person to shatter that ceiling.
Well, and that's exactly it. I mean, like you said, you want to be the right person for the job is what it boils down to, and you are the right person for the job, but that's got to be in the back of your mind a little bit, right?
I can't say that it didn't feed my ego a little bit.
Well, good. You deserved it. Why did you decide to go for chair?
I've been on the legislature now for 8 years.
Oh, okay.
It's been a very rewarding experience. I feel like I've got a lot more to give. Over the last couple of years, we've had certain management style issues at the county level.
Sure.
And I was actually approached by a couple of the legislators to ask me to consider running for chair.
Okay.
I hadn't really given it a lot of thought at that point in time. I definitely wanted to be the chair at some point in the future, but their request made it move up on my priority list.
What prepares you to be chair, going from a legislator to a chair? Is there preparation for that, or is it just hit the ground running?
It is hit the ground running for me because under the circumstances, and if you followed the vote, it was very, very close.
Yes.
9-8. So there was the two voices in my head, the one that said, you better be prepared to win, but the other voice said, you better be prepared to lose.
Right.
And my thought process was that this opportunity made me think of what would I do differently as a legislator? How would I lead the county? And what the conclusion I came to was that so many of these things that I thought about, I could do them whether I'm the chairperson or not.
Sure.
So that was my approach.
We've talked on this program a lot about people getting involved in their community, and it seems like there's a kind of a lack of that. People want to get involved. What started you down this path to become a legislator and now ultimately the chair?
I've always been very involved in the community. I've volunteered with the Chamber of Commerce in Bath. I'm a Rotarian. And I feel like it's very important to know your community, to know your neighbors, and to be a part of that. And I also own a small business in Bath. I'm a CPA by profession.
Okay.
And the community has been very good to me.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was an opportunity for me to start giving back.
What are some of your goals now that you look forward? You're in there, you're in the chair seat. What is your goals as in your time as chair?
I would like to see us take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. We as a legislature, or the committees, I should say, make committee goals. And I feel like that leaves us a little bit, not short-sighted, but short-sighted.
Sure.
I would rather we look at each department that a committee oversees and what can we do to help them?
Yeah.
What other things can we do? A goal is a difficult thing. You can set it, but is it measurable and is it achievable? I want to lower taxes by 10%. Is it doable? Yes. Is it the right thing to do? Maybe not. Steuben County has enough issues where we try to keep our taxes at a nice level playing field, but there are issues that we need to deal with, and it takes money to deal with those.
And that's my next question, as a matter of fact. What issues do you see as you get in the chair position for Steuben County?
We have housing issues. We have substantial mental health issues. All of those things need money, and they need the people in place to help provide those services and the housing. There is a labor crisis. We have a hard time getting positions filled, particularly in the mental health profession. And I think that there is such a need for it, and we need to respect that need like a medical condition and chase after it and help people as much as we can.
And it's interesting you said that because, as I mentioned, we had Sheriff Allard on not that long ago. Sometimes I joke that a lot of these interviews turn into almost like a job fair because there's so many people, and that's in Chemung County and Steuben.
Yes.
They just cannot find anybody willing to work certain jobs. And it's those jobs don't go away because no one's there to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you look at corrections officers, we were talking about this the other day. It's not like they can shut down the prison if the people can't come in. So it's a really scary position.
It is very scary. And I think the real problem is, how do we figure out why is it people don't want to work in general? COVID changed the way we live so substantially. I'm not really sure how people survive if they don't get up and go to work every day. I have had that drilled into my head from being a little girl, growing up. I needed a job. I needed to support myself. And I understand and recognize that there are people that have problems or issues and they can't support themselves, and I have no problem with that. But we need to buckle down.
Yes.
We do need to recognize there are jobs that we would look at them and say, I don't want to do that job.
Right.
As a kid, I can remember my very first job was working at McDonald's.
Of course.
And it was a great job for me to start with, but it taught me exactly what I didn't want to do for the rest of my life.
Sure.
And how do we fix that? They need people too. Every place needs workers.
Yes. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't think it's something that we can answer here on the program today, but it is very discouraging when you see very important jobs with no one to fill them.
Yes. It's a dangerous environment. We talk about corrections officers, and it's a very unsafe place for workers. It can be unsafe for the inmates. And so that is a very difficult situation to fix. So we are doing some upgrades with the jail software to make it more safe. There are some other things that we can look at to make the environment more safe. And the other thing is the pay scale. We need to take a look at that.
Now, I know you also have a vice chair who's new to the job. Is that typical? I wonder if it's almost like a new administration, if you will.
Yes. Actually, when I decided to run for the chair, I was Mr. Van Etten's vice chair.
Okay.
And people asked me, who would I want to be vice chair? And I said, I've been so busy thinking about myself as the chairperson, I haven't given it any thought as to who would be the vice chair. So 2 people expressed interest in it, and James happened to be the one that was elected, and I am very excited to work with him. I want him to know everything that I know. I want him to be involved in the decisions that need to be made and to understand how many different committees that people look to the chairperson to be a part of, how many different things need my attention. He needs to know.
Yeah, of course.
So he goes into the job, say 2 or 4 years from now, with eyes wide open, understanding what it is we're building, and we can continue to build on it because he'll know everything that I've been working on. Is
it difficult to start the chair position as the comprehensive plan was just finishing up?
I would agree that is difficult.
Yeah.
I did have a part in working on the comprehensive plan. So in one way it's difficult because here I am new, but on the other hand, you look at it and it's a clean slate. I get to look at that comprehensive plan and say, okay, this plan is nice, but how does it fit with our comprehensive plan? And if it doesn't, we need to look at a different direction.
So were you you mentioned you've always been active in the community. Were you always interested in serving at this kind of level?
It hadn't crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I was more devoted, say, to nonprofit work, and I forgot I had served on the board for Arbor Development for a while, and I thought that that was more my direction or more my style. But a friend suggested that I run for the legislature, and I thought about it. It took months for me to make the initial decision to run, because I ran against Larry Crossett, who was a pillar on the legislature.
Yeah.
He was the treasurer for so many years, and it was more like a David and Goliath battle. And so when I won that race, it was equally frightening.
Oh, of course.
It was, oh my gosh, here I am moving on to the legislature, and I don't really have any of that experience.
Isn't it an interesting process, though? Because we talk about on the program, all these people would like to complain about things going on, but they don't really want to get active, right? And it's not that difficult of a process to throw your hat in the ring. I mean, you got to put work into it, but it should be something that's not easy.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I think that the petition process is challenging. It used to be that you could go out during the months of July when everybody is out in their yards in the summertime and there's lots of daylight, and you can knock on doors and people aren't too concerned. Now we do it in March. It's dark, it's snowy, and people look at you very strange when you're out there knocking on their door. I try to make phone calls ahead of time and say, I'm coming into your neighborhood.
Heads up,
I would like to stop. Could you let your neighbors know I'm not some strange person wandering around in your neighborhood looking for signatures on petitions.
I know it was also very difficult the last couple of years. It seemed like kind of an uptick in COVID always hit when you had to get signatures, and people look at you like, get it away from my door. I don't want to talk to you.
Yes. I've done it enough times now
that
I know where to go. I know who to see, and as people get to know you a little bit better, they're less frightened by your appearance at their door.
Yes, and I think people are getting better. It's just a whole bunch of combination of things that make people uncomfortable opening their door in March, but I couldn't agree more. So how long is your term for as chair?
The term for chair is 2 years.
Okay.
When we do another reorganization, we would re-vote for chair, vice chair.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, thank you so much for being on the program. Again, congratulations. We're wishing you the best of luck in the next 2 years, and you'll have to keep us updated.
I promise I will do that.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Stay tuned. This 5-piece bakeware set, a $60 value, absolutely free. Tired of that pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before.
Gosh, what I love most about this design is this hammered copper look. It would just look so fantastic hanging in my kitchen.
Wow, this is a beautiful pan. It looks great. Look at those eggs dancing around in there. I tell you, I'm sold. Where do I get these? I love them.
Hammered pans are ultra non-stick. Nothing sticks. Even gooey mac and cheese slips out with ease. And look, these sticky candies melted with a torch are no match for hammered pans. Plus, they're super durable, so use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips out and a pan that looks just like new. They're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie, cheesy lasagna, or this whole chicken dinner. Any recipe looks great in these pans. From steak flambe to delicious desserts and delicate fish, nothing sticks. Plus, the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Similar sets are over $1,000, but you won't pay that. Not $500 or even $300. Get the full 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99, and we'll even guarantee it for a full 10 years. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. Together, these are an $80 value, yours 100% free. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
To order, call 1-800-603-3404 or go to buyhammered.com. That's 1-800-603-3404, or you can order online at buyhammered.com.
Thank you so much to Kelly Fitzpatrick for being our guest, pardon me, this morning, the new Steuben County Legislative Chair and enjoy talking with her. We received a couple comments during the interview earlier. If you're just joining us, we were talking about Governor Hochul's budget proposal. Funny, less people live here, meaning New York. More companies and corporations are leaving the state. They are allowing illegal aliens into the sanctuary state. Where is the money coming from? I think that's the problem. That's why we have such a deficit. I don't think anybody knows that answer. Then, when is there going to be a class action lawsuit against local governments that allow theft without consequences? There are victims to all the thievery that is allowed, higher insurance costs and higher prices to make up for the loss of goods. Oh, absolutely. I mean, if nothing else, there should be at least some type of teeth on enforcing this. Governor Hochul didn't even propose any type of new penalties or new punishments. It was all, again, like the one piece from the New York Post said, essentially throw money at the problem. So, away from the New York State budget, we'll talk more about that. We'll also talk with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano at some point to get an update on it, but I do appreciate him sending in his reaction. So now you're starting to see those in the media, and this is actually coming from what has been deemed a more conservative outlet, the New York Post. Isaac Shore says, it's not over yet. Here's how Trump could still lose the GOP primary. Contrary to conventional wisdom, Monday night's events constituted a necessary yet insufficient condition for Trump's ultimate success. Not some historic triumph that guarantees him the opportunity to reprise his role as the GOP's standard bearer. But the window remains cracked open only as long as Trump opponents don't succumb to despair. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces out that are suggesting to either DeSantis or Haley. I think they're suggesting it to DeSantis because the media seems to want Haley more, which is, hey, drop out. It's not over. If one of you drop out and you consolidate those votes. I don't know personally if DeSantis votes, if he were to drop out, DeSantis votes would go to Haley. Because when it comes to actual political ideology, DeSantis and Trump seem more in line than Nikki Haley and DeSantis. A one-on-one race between Trump and either Haley or DeSantis, both of whom are skilled, appealing, and well-intentioned conservatives, could be governed by very different fundamentals than Iowa was, says Isaac Shore. Of course, the dream of nominating someone who can beat Joe Biden and govern responsibly after doing so hinges on so many happenings and hard choices, it can only be considered unlikely. All Haley, DeSantis, and their supporters can do to make it less so is resist the temptation to despair. Donald Trump is a powerful political force, but he's also just a man. And despite what the devils on our shoulders might tell us, I was proof of his political mortality. Interesting way to spin. 51% of the votes. I know Drudge Report was doing the same this morning and late yesterday, which is to say, well, there wasn't a big turnout. The typical, it takes them a little while to put a spin on it because, let's face it, those in the media do not want to see, we got the plow going by, do not want to see Donald Trump back in the White House. I don't believe they want him to see him as the nominee because right now the polls are showing that either Trump, Haley, or DeSantis could beat Biden. His numbers are dismal. So they could be. So I think in their world, Nikki Haley is maybe the most palatable. Then maybe DeSantis or Trump. It seems like they have an anger, not equal, but very similar to both. How about this from CNN? Trump's dangerous echoes of the eugenics movement. Yes, the same eugenics that has been talked about in the past that Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, believed in. But her name does not come up in this piece from CNN. It's a normal comparison to Hitler and others. So this is what I mean. I was scared, the media. Former President Trump, this is also from CNN, Kate Sullivan, went after Nikki Haley while referring to her by her first name. Now, I did not know this. You may have been familiar with this. Nikki, I assumed wasn't her real, given name, but her real name is Nimarata. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So obviously Trump played into that. In the latest example of Trump, this is just showing you a little bit of the media overview. In the latest example of Trump using racist dog whistles to attack his GOP presidential rival. So what he said just before, and I'm not going to dive too much into this. Anyone listening to Nikki Nimrata Haley's whacked out speech last night would think that she won the Iowa primary. She didn't, and she couldn't even beat a very flawed Ron DeSanctimonious, who's out of money and out of hope. So that's what he put to Truth Social. He did misspell her given name with a D instead of a T, but obviously he did the DeSanctimonious last name, and then he used Nikki Haley's first name, and somehow I guess it's a racist dog whistle to attack his GOP presidential rival by using her first name. Interesting. So why I bring those up, Michael Goodwin from the New York Post has a piece that I think ties in with just those few quick headlines that I just read to you. And I'm going to talk about it when we come back. Again, this is a piece by Michael Goodwin. And it's, as Trump nears GOP nomination, elitist media again treats American voters like they're stupid. It's 2016 all over again. That's when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Is your closet cramped and cluttered? Is it impossible to find that shirt to wear and then even harder to fit it back in there? Not anymore. Introducing Space Triangles, the clever new hanging device that fits over any hanger to save you closet space in seconds. And now may be your last chance to get them for a low price. Now you can vertically hang multiple items, guaranteeing that you'll have up to 70% more space in your closet. Watch, your closet can go from messy to marvelous in no time with ease. And just look at all that extra space. Just place space triangles on each hanger and start hanging your clothing one after another, piece by piece. Daisy chain up to 6 shirts or more. The lower you go, the more closet space that'll show. The secret is the ingenious slip-over design that secures the hangers in a perfect vertical position.
This is hands down the easiest way to get more closet space. It took me just a few minutes to completely transform my closet, and now I can go shopping again.
It snugly fits all types of hangers, from plastic to wood to metal and velvet, and works with any type of clothing, from shirts and blouses to slacks and jeans, or designer dresses and big heavy suits. Stop searching through clutter for the right outfit. Now you can build an outfit and group it together so it's easy to find. Even hang purses, belts, and more. Just slide the space triangles onto any hanger and start hanging. You'll instantly create closet space like never before. Order now to get an 18-piece set of space triangles for just $9.99. But wait, due to rising costs and supply chain shortages, this may be your last chance to get space triangles at this low price. But you must act fast. There is a strict limit of 1 closet pack per order while supplies last. Once they're gone forever. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-957-1518. That's 1-800-957-1518. Call or visit spacetriangles.com. So call 1-800-957-1518. Order now.
Fox Wednesday, get down.
The Masked Singer is taking you to Funky Town.
It's the first group final. And shocking double elimination.
Oh my God.
All new Masked Singer. Then
I got a good eye for a fake.
Ooh. Which products rock and which are a crock?
The spoon that transforms flavor.
That doesn't make any sense.
Is it real or is it snake oil?
Tonight, our beautiful view of Market Street as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio here on Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. This is Frankly Speaking. So Michael Goodwin says, forget what the calendar says, it's 2016 all over again. Proving they remain infected by a fact-resistant virus. Most members of the self-proclaimed smart set are once again horrified by GOP voters, repeating the contempt they displayed when Trump won the nomination 8 years ago. They're furious that their nightmare could be happening again. How can it be that their fellow Americans remain so stupid after they've repeatedly, those in the media, repeatedly explained Trump's flaws? Why do voters refuse to listen to their media masters? In a Sunday editorial at the New York Times, they said the responsibility of Republican voters is to nominate a candidate who is fit to serve as president. Now, we do remember that the New York Times apologized back in 2016, not realizing or underestimating Trump's appeal to, as Trump calls them, of course, the forgotten men and women. This time the paper sees the appeal but refuses to recognize it as anything more than a mass movement of ignorant. And you know what's interesting? Just keep this in mind as they go after Trump. The New York Times has not endorsed a Republican for president since Dwight D. Eisenhower back in 1956. Just keep in mind. So whoever the GOP nominates, the New York Times readers are going to vote for whoever's the Democrat. Biden, anybody. Willful ignorance also was on display at CNN, where a headline reported Trump's historic, and I mentioned this yesterday on the program, Iowa victory margin is coming despite, quote, his leaving office in disgrace. Commentator Chris Wallace piled on by bemoaning a willful denial of reality among Trump supporters and suggested they belong to a cult. Now, Wallace also cited the criminal cases against Trump as a reason for his being surprised the former president remains on top, apparently missing the fact that because of the constant talk that Trump has had about the deep state and those in power going after him, when they see these trials, it's not a negative, meaning it leads more people to Trump. This is what the elitists don't understand. It proves Trump's point that he's been making forever. That's what they don't get. So as we've said numerous times on this program, and I quote the former Congressman Joe Sempolinski, who originally said it, and when I say quote, I'm really paraphrasing, but there's a lot of people out there that may not like Trump, may not want it to vote for Trump, but they really don't like elitists and the swamp, quote unquote swamp, telling them who they can and cannot pick. So when you add these court cases on top of these states that are trying to take them off the ballot, it just plays into what Trump has been saying now for all these years. Is it possible Wallace doesn't know that the 4 criminal cases and 1 civil one were all filed by Democrats? Does he believe the party affiliation is just a coincidence and that GOP voters are crazy if they believe Democrats are weaponizing the legal system to protect Biden and jail his opponents? Speaking of those who refuse to see, Bloomberg reported on the sour mood at Davos, whereas a headline put it, elite size up the global risks of another Trump presidency. Again, now we have the private jet set that just don't get it. Joy Reid singled out white, and she's on MSNBC if you're not familiar, singled out white Christians in Iowa who supported Trump, saying they believe they are entitled to own America. And so it goes, in a comfortable confines of the best and the brightest, where being wrong after year means never having to admit it. Yes, think of all these people that make their predictions, that go after, whether it's Trump supporter, really any Republican voter. Because if you look at it, in this case, and this is something we talk about on the show, if it weren't Trump, if Nikki Haley were to get it, they'll go after her in the same way. They'll do the same thing with Ron DeSantis. Like robots, according to Michael Goodwin, the mainstream media repeat Democrat talking points that Trump is a danger to democracy without recognizing that just 16% of Americans trust newspapers to report the news, quote, fully, accurately, and fairly, according to a Gallup poll in 2022. And I don't want to get into too much more of this because we are running late and I do have to take a break. But there is zero indication that any substantial change in coverage is coming. Consider that while most major media have reported on Biden's historically low approval numbers, they refuse to make the connection between the obvious failures and why so many Americans want Trump back in the White House. And to wrap things up, Michael Goodwin said, there's no mystery in any of this. There's only a corrupt media that believe they know what is best for America and are entitled to pick the president. Yeah, they are entitled. It shouldn't be you. That has been the mindset. It's the same reason why they're attempting in certain circles to take Trump off the ballot. But Trump supporters have the courage to disagree. For this, they must be shunned. And we'll start to see that too as well, not just the criticism of Trump. And you're starting to see it a little bit, but the attacks on his supporters and the individual attacks, which we saw back in 2016. So keep that in mind. But I do have to take a break. Wow, we're running late. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Our water's better tasting. It's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
This right is confidence in a bottle. It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Your solution is at plexidermtrial.com or call the
We are back with Frankly Speaking. I do need to take one more short break here in just a second, but I want to read this comment. In a perfect Republican-governed world, we would need another Ronald Reagan. Trump knows that and refers to him often. Unfortunately, Trump has a lot of tough, in-your-face New York attitude that melts, what has been deemed snowflakes on the Democrat side. President Reagan had a much smoother way to accomplish things. However, tough times need tougher men. To that point, Ted Cruz has endorsed the former president. This coming out yesterday. I believe this race is over, so I am proud to endorse Donald Trump for president of the United States. I look forward to supporting him enthusiastically. And this was on Sean Hannity's program. The Texas senator, again Ted Cruz, argued that it's time for the Republican Party to unite ahead of the general election race against Biden, but he stopped short of explicitly calling on DeSantis and Haley to suspend their campaigns. With the results last night, meaning in Iowa, the people have spoken. Trump's Iowa win was decisive and a dominating victory. It's time to move onward to victory in November. I don't see any path to victory for anyone other than Donald Trump, he continued, while acknowledging that the January 23rd New Hampshire GOP primary might be closely contested. Okay. We have to take another short break, wrap things up, and then we're going to really play a lot of catch-up because I missed a lot that I have to get to. Stay with us.
Was your premature baby fed a cow's milk baby formula such as Similac or Enfamil? If so, your child may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Evidence shows that cow's milk formulas increase the risk of NEC in premature babies, causing severe harm and even death. If your child was born premature and suffers from NEC, intestinal perforations, sepsis, cerebral palsy, or died as a result, you may have the right to sue for significant financial compensation. Call now for a free case review.
If you think of hash browns are the French fries of breakfast.
Who says it's not French fries that are the hash browns of lunch and dinner?
That's also true.
Right now, you can get a savory, melty sausage burrito, crunchy hash browns, or these satisfying breakfast faves. Mix and match any two for just $3.29 at McDonald's.
Something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Share in the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud. 7 and 7:30 on Big Fox.
We are back and Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. Okay, so let's go. Oh, here's another comment. Hello, Frank. As Kelly mentioned, I too can't understand how you earn a living without working for a paycheck. On the other hand, I can see why the workplace is less desirable when we have crime and theft with no consequences. And this is happening in the Twin Tiers. I think it's just part of the plan. You know what's interesting with that? Because it's not just, and I do believe the governor may have mentioned this at one point, but we had talked about in the past, obviously shoplifting is very bad. It's causing businesses to close. Obviously businesses not even considering moving to New York. but there's also the fear of employees working in retail. You know, being on edge, the nervousness, because if someone comes in, they can't stop them, but what if the person gets violent? Yes. So I think there's a good point there. Did you see the Trump campaign with Ramaswamy yesterday? Already hit the ground running after Ramaswamy dropped out of the race. And now he did endorse Trump, and now he's going to rallies with him. ABC News has canceled the New Hampshire Republican primary debate. Nikki Haley signaled without Trump she wouldn't do it. And without Trump, I guess not really much of a debate if it's just DeSantis. So they have canceled it. DeSantis did have a town hall, though, yesterday on CNN. This will be like his third, right? Is this his third? Because they had the town hall, back-to-back town halls between him and Nikki. Then a couple days later, they had the debate, and now another one. They said the takeaways are DeSantis tries a go everywhere, do everything strategy. Okay. DeSantis questions Haley's ability to unite Republicans. There may be something there. He said the U.S. DeSantis was asked if he agrees with Haley, the comments that she made that United States has never been a racist country. And he said the U.S. is not a racist country, and we've overcome things in our history. Wow, I'm out of time. Bill Ackerman warns Democrats after a landslide Iowa caucus win that Trump is going to crush Biden. And Lloyd Austin's secret ambulance request revealed they have the 911 call out, and his aides definitely knew they wanted to keep it secret. We're out of time. Thank you to Kelly Fitzpatrick, the new Steuben County Legislative Chair, for being our guest. Please join us tomorrow morning starting at 7 for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox, thanks for joining us this morning.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks are a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen One, the portable oxygen concentrator you can take almost anywhere.
With this little device, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
The Inogen One is so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you